Elitism, the attitude or behavior of a person or group who regard themselves as belonging to an elite. Now, if you assort yourself to some type of hobby that has at least over 10,000 members in a fucking subreddit, then it's probably elitist in whatever niche you have. Now, in music, which I love, there's a fuck ton of elitists in there, and they're very significant and profound. But specifically, I found 3 type of elitists to be in that type of community, many of whom have grown over time because of the specific social media age that we live in. But before we get into this, I want to do a little history lesson and, see why are we picking apart these type of groups now. With the rise of the internet, many things became digitalized, such as games and books, but eventually music became digitalized. This moment in time with the rising age of the internet, instead of big corporations controlling whatever you were listening to, the people were controlling themselves on what they were listening to. And with it, this would eventually create online forums that would eventually turn into, sites like DatPiff and Bandcamp, where artists can own their music and put it on to whatever site, and then they have like a selling price or whatever, and they can get paid directly without the middleman being the record company. This would eventually start up the internet rap age, where rappers such as Danny Brown and Def Grips wouldn't survive off of commercial status. Now, before I get ahead of myself, we need to travel back to when I was talking about the online forums. This would create the first type of music elitist, being the music elitist, or just, the self-titled name, or you can just basically call them the quality elitists. Quality elitists originally came from these online forums that would basically talk about music. And now I'm not saying that they're all bad. For example, they help set up albums such as, Neutral Milk Hotel, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, and, like Slint with Spiderland. Now, these quality enthusiasts, you would most likely call them, what's the word? Nerds. With the rise of online forums for music and these giant fucking nerds, they combine into these super ultra geeky nerds, or basically just quality enthusiasts that I like to call. These quality enthusiasts only listen to albums that are ranked highly on whatever message board they are on. And as the years go by, there's going to be eventually an entire music nerd god, aka Anthony Fantano. Through his reviews on YouTube that are very highly criticized based on the video, he would create a very big cult fan base. Not like cultish, but just like, big old group. And this would eventually evolve into Fantano Core, where whatever Anthony Fantano likes, it's an album you should listen to, and it stays in that Fantano Core. I am guilty into listening Fantano Core albums, as it's, like maybe 60% of my taste. But the thing to see that if you're a Fantano nerd or whatever is that, like, if you, name 5 reviews that you disagree with. For example, me, here's the 5 I disagree with, and if you mainly agree with Fantano, you're basically a Fantano nerd. And this would eventually evolve to people saying that, if Fantano gave it a low score, then it must suck. Now, you're probably asking to yourself, Blitz, what's the problem with these super geeky nerds? Well, it's the way that they portray themselves. See, most Fantano Core people, when they go outside for their 3rd time in a month, they would usually act and pretend that they are above someone else because they listen to a certain type of music. Remember that trend where people are like, name 5 songs from whatever fucking band? It usually came from these quality enthusiasts when they see a somewhat looking normal person say that Radiohead Kid A is one of my favorite albums of all time. And since, it's a very popular album on music forums, and they get shocked or whatever, and they're like, name 5 songs or whatever, they usually come from that. But they're probably the chillest out of the 3 type of elitists I'm talking about, because maybe 20 or 25% of the time when you're talking to a music or quality enthusiast nerd, they are probably annoying as shit or whatever. But with the rise of the age of the internet, this would eventually create social media, and with artists rising during that time of social media, this would eventually create my second one, being fandom elitists. I'm not saying fandoms created were because of the rise of the internet. I'm saying that because of the rise of social media or whatever, this would create, interactions between the artist and the listener way easier than before. And fandoms could easily be the biggest mixed bag ever. You could have, like a chill, fandom or whatever, like Frank Ocean's fandom, where they're like, where's the album, Frank Ocean? And then there will be like a cute little painting of Frank Ocean. And then you go to Playboy Cardi's, fandom. Very different reactions when their favorite artist is not dropping an album. Now, despite polarizing differences between every and each different fan base, this would become the second one, being fandom elitists, from K-pop stars to, Kanye West super stans. They're usually super fans who protect anything against Kanye or against their favorite artists or whatever. For example, Kanye West. Whenever Kanye West says some pretty bad shit or whatever, most fans, including me, would come up with some type of excuse being like, oh, Kanye is just bipolar, and this is one of the, not Kanye moments. And we would usually defend him because he made good music, and I stopped doing it because he stopped making good music. For example, Vultures, not only is the album buns, but basically whatever Kanye's saying has gone into his music. Like, you don't hear Kanye West on Ye talking about how I thought about Harriet Tubman had 400 years to free the slaves. Like, basically what I'm seeing. And now his music has been inserted to whatever he believes. Like, for example, King. This song sounds like absolute crap, and basically Kanye West is basically jerking himself off, saying, they call me crazy, bipolar, anti-Semite, but I'm still the king. I don't know what king he's talking about, considering that he's not the richest rapper anymore, and he doesn't sell #1 albums anymore like he used to. That's just an example of fandom elitism in music, because one, I'm basically defending my so-called GOAT, even though that they made terrible music or they did something terrible in general. Now, it's a very giant mixed bag on whatever the worst fandom is in music, because terrible fandoms can come across all music genres. For example, metal, rock, and especially the music genre in the Asian region. You know what I'm talking about. Depending on the type of fandom that you're talking about, it can easily be better than quality enthusiasts. But it's time to talk about my last one. And this one I like to call gatekeeping elitists. Social media grows over time. Being unique is supposedly being seen as the coolest thing ever. It's not even just in, music. It can also be in stuff such as clothes, but mainly in music. And with the rise of stuff such as TikTok, apparently some people are mad because a song is becoming popular on TikTok. Me personally, I disagree with it, because why are you trying to get less money to your favorite artist or whatever, even though they they pay like shit, but I mean, it's money. But they are specifically mad about exposure. And even if they get a slither of popularity due to TikTok, some people are like, alright, I'm not listening to this music anymore because, some dude was, playing it in their TikTok video. This helped also coin the term, what do you know about blank? But with this term, it was used very loosely. You could see some posts saying what do you know about the Beatles, or what do you know about Michael Jackson, and or some other 10 million some artists, and I'm like, dude, they're popular, right? It's mostly just Gen Z doing it. Once Gen Z figures out, and they an artist from old as their parents, they start bumping it, and then once they see their algorithm figure out that they listen to some certain artist, they'll be like, dude, people actually listen to this music? Yeah, because it's popular and whatever, duh. Now the three elitists, I would easily put them the top as the most smug assholes, or basically the biggest snobs ever. Moral of the story, just let people listen to whatever the fuck they want. I don't care if it's mainstream, I don't care if it's underground with like 12 monthly listeners or whatever. In my opinion, music should be enjoyed by everyone. Like, for example, my top 50 artists, like 1/5 out of any artist, they have like below 1 million monthly listeners. So basically, the most listened to artists that I listen to are generally pretty popular. And yeah, that's what I basically have to say. I mean, don't be mean to people if if they have like very bad music taste. I don't care if it's AJR or not. You shouldn't be mean to people unless they're shitting on other people. Then you should be like, dude, you literally listen to AJR. What's your fucking point, dude? But yeah, anyways, guys, hope y'all enjoy the video. I have more other videos about rants and stuff like that. For example, my Spotify video. That will be in a new playlist where I have these new type of videos. I have, for example, this one and the Spotify video where I just do rants. And yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoy.